perseverance. Our party was created to serve the needs and aspirations of all those who love South Africa, who seek its best interests, and who long to make further contributions. From its foundation, our party, the IFP, has been the home to people of goodwill, joined together under a common banner, all those who seek peace, who seek justice and freedom. This year, as we celebrated the 40th anniversary of the IFP, we have had the opportunity to remember the reason we started and the purpose for which we persevered, and the significance of our continued presence on the political landscape. We have also had the opportunity to hear from others how they perceive the IFP. For we've had many messages of congratulations, encouragement, and support of this great milestone of 40 years. I think the words of His Excellency, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, former President of the Republic of Zambia, who first advised me to found a membership-based organization to ignite political mobilization. To use his words, when I went to Zambia to see the President and to Tanzania to thank the President for giving shelter and sanctuary to all our exiles, it was during that visit that His Excellency Dr. Kaunda said to me, they, as frontline president, appreciated the fact that after our movements were shut down, ANC, PAC, and others, that I was the lonely voice. But he said, in order to be a cohesive force, he suggested that I should found a membership-based organization. Dr. Kaunda has written to us during this celebration in August, when we had an occasion to commemorate the opening of the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi Museum and Documentation Center in Ulundi. And I would like to quote Dr. Kaunda. He said, over the decades, from the time he was much younger, I have noted the words and deeds of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. He has been very passionate and courageous over the issues he strongly feels for. Agree or disagree with him, there is much that we can learn from Mangosuthu's life experience, unquote. Our former President Kgalema Motlanthe, speaking at our gala dinner in Durban on the 31st of May, spoke of our party's ongoing significance in the fight for freedom. And I would like to quote President Motlanthe. These are his words. Since the formation of the then Inkatha National Cultural Liberation Movement in 1975, to help advance the political interests of the oppressed people of South Africa, history has indeed never been the same in South Africa. He went on to say, at that time, when it was well-nigh impossible to say no to the apartheid establishment, Inkatha refused to submit. President Motlanthe went on to say, today, South Africa is a normal democracy, and the IFP is an important, if not critical, element of this vibrant democracy. I'm confident that the IFP will continue to play a significant role in the evolution of our system of democracy, ensuring that our country remains a united, democratic, non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous society for all its entire people, unquote. At the same dinner in Durban, on the 31st of May, the national chairperson of the ANC, Her Excellency Ms. Baleka Mbete, who is our Speaker in Parliament, thanked me for relating the journey of the IFP and the role we played in liberating South Africa. She asked, and I would like to quote her. These are her words. He said, when we are going to have, he asked, when are we going to have the book in our schools to teach our children this history? Referring to what I had said. Speaking of my leadership in our country, she said, quote, I always knew that here was an elder, very fortunately still there among us. He is still there as a voice of reason that rises from time to time and reminds us who we are, unquote. This admiration of the IFP has been echoed by other political parties, by business people, by religious leaders, and by people of influence from around the world. The former president of the European Parliament and chairperson of the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung in Germany wrote to me just this week, congratulating the IFP, congratulating you on the anniversary. And I would like to quote what she said. He said, since its formation in the early 70s, the IFP, under your distinguished leadership, has been an important voice in South Africa's political discourse. The contribution that the IFP has made to the democratic transition of this country cannot be overemphasized. He went on to say, in South Africa's current political dispensation, which is dominated by one political party, representatives of the IFP in parliament, provincial governments, municipal councils ensure that multi-party democracy is alive and that a pluralistic set of voices is heard. He went on to say, the journey of the IFP is a remarkable one. The sovereign constitution, which is hailed internationally as one of the most modern constitutions in the world, clearly features some of the core principles and convictions of your party. I wish you and the IFP happy celebrations and all the best for your future journey, unquote. Comrades, central to all these messages of support that we have received is this one idea that the IFP still has a crucial role to play. While we have a remarkable legacy, so too do we have a remarkable future. As we hold our final 40th anniversary rally today, let us therefore turn our attention from a glorious past to a future that is yet to be written. The future of the IFP will be built on a solid foundation. It will be built with hands and voices of this generation and the next generation. It will move forward on the strength of the IFP's principles, which have never been abandoned. These principles have proven effective in the struggle against all forms of oppression, hardship, and adversity. They will be effective in the battles to come, and they must be the weapons of our present conflict. There is no question, comrades, that we stand on a battleground today. South Africa is locked in a struggle against poverty, inequality, unemployment, and corruption. These are the enemies of our prosperity. They are what stands between us and progress. They are what stands between us and development. And they are what stands between us and hope. The medium-term budget statement, which was delivered just a week ago by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Inkatha Nene, was unequivocal in spelling out the economic crisis this country is facing. Instead of the usual upbeat rhetoric, we're given the facts as they stand. South Africa's economic growth is negligible. Our government's debt is growing. Food prices are going to increase, comrades. Hardship will continue, comrades. At the same time, statistics have been revised to put unemployment at more than 25%. A quarter of those who are able to work cannot find a job. Millions upon millions of South Africans are facing poverty, and many of them are in the stadium now. In the midst of the rising anger of young South Africans is both understandable and dangerously explosive. The present fight for free education is born out of the need of young South Africans to secure their future in a very uncertain economic climate. Our youth are asking for the opportunity to create their own future. Access to education cannot be barred to those with limited resources. We are shooting ourselves on the foot if we make education a preserve of the few, for we need skilled, empowered, educated citizens to build our economy. If we are to get through this time of economic crisis, we need the contribution of every South African, and that contribution must be optimized. Education for liberation has been the clarion call of the IFP. For 40 years, we established this principle in the fight against Bantu education. During the apartheid era, we sought to keep the majority undereducated, and we maintained the principle in the present fight against poverty, unemployment, and economic crisis. Education is the tool of liberation. When our comrades in the ANC said liberation now, education later, we countered that with education for liberation. And we built up schools. We built up training colleges for teachers. I even built a university of technology in Durban. We believe it is the responsibility of a democratic government to empower this generation to shape tomorrow. We believe in the basic human right of access to education. Indeed, it was the IFP who fought at the negotiations here at Kempton Park. We are the ones who tabled the Bill of Rights, which is enshrined today in our Constitution. When we gathered at Kempton Park as representatives of various voices in South Africa, the IFP was ahead of the debate in many respects. We tabled the need for a full Bill of Rights, social and economic rights, a constitutional court, independent organs of state controlling the executive, the recognition of indigenous and customary law, a federal state with provinces, and many other aspects of a modern constitution. But we had to fight to have a Bill of Rights included, because the ANC's position was that they would never abuse the rights of South Africans, and there was therefore no need to enshrine these rights in the Constitution. They insisted that the ANC is morally upright and always acts in the best interest of the people. But the IFP had been witness to the ANC's single-minded pursuit of power beyond freedom. We had seen them abandon the founding principles of our liberation struggle to embrace bloodshed and violence, and we knew that given unfettered power, corruption would be a constant threat. And that what is the case today? The IFP therefore fought with dogged tenacity for the inclusion of the Bill of Rights. We wanted to be sure that what the ANC preached was what the ANC delivered, if the people empowered them to govern as they have done since 1994. At those democratic elections, and for 21 years, since the IFP won the ANC not to make empty promises to people of our country, promises that could not be fulfilled. Yet for 21 years, the ANC has been promising jobs for all, even mentioning them by numbers, 500,000, 5 million, free education, and a better tomorrow. Well, we have waited for that tomorrow to dawn, but it never comes. They have failed to fulfill the most fundamental promises they made to South Africa. One might reasonably say they lied to you. For the past few years, we have seen service delivery protests igniting in municipalities controlled by the ANC across South Africa. It has become common to see people burning tires and throwing rubbish into the streets, angry at the lack of services from their ANC municipality. There is disillusionment, comrades, among voters, among yourselves, who empowered a party they thought would deliver, only to find that year after year, nothing changed. For the first 5 years of democracy, the IFP served in the government of national unity under His Excellency Nelson Mandela. We then served in the government, although there was no government of unity, under President Mbeki, in pursuit of reconciliation and nation building. In those years, government achieved many significant milestones for South Africa's people. But as the years went on, you are my witnesses, development has slowed down, service delivery has decreased, and corruption has set in. When the IFP had majority in KwaZulu-Natal, we cooperated with the ANC, even though it was a difficult relationship. For we believe in reconciliation and democracy. Now, however, they ignore the IFP's advice simply because it comes from the IFP. This is to the detriment of our country. And I think, for instance, of my advice to His Excellency President Zuma. I advised him in Parliament to appoint a trained police officer to the position of National Commissioner of Police, after corruption ended the careers of 2 commissioners. He ignored my advice, and again a police commissioner has just been suspended. We have had to fight hard to get the ANC to listen to the good sense of the IFP. I think of how we had to take out the fight on antiretrovirals all the way to the Constitutional Court, because the government was in denial. Even the head of state was saying that, in fact, that there was no HIV, and that HIV didn't cause AIDS. The IFP had rolled out antiretrovirals where it governed in KwaZulu-Natal to stop mother-to-child transmission of HIV/AIDS. We saved many lives. At the same time, many lives were lost because of the ANC government's denial. But national government refused to follow our suit. So we joined the treatment action campaign, which went to the Constitutional Court to instruct government to roll out antiretrovirals across the country. The ANC was forced by the Constitutional Court to follow our example. And countless lives have been saved since then. Well, of course, today they say it's a good story of how the ANC, what the ANC has done. Because instead of employing the right people to positions in government, they give jobs to pearls, which means the person responsible for taking policy decisions, managing the budget, and ensuring that services are delivered seldom has the requisite skill. Competition for plum jobs is fierce, and often service delivery takes a back seat to politicking and infighting, as the ANC cadres battle it out for position, scrambling for who must eat from the fiscals. There are cases of service delivery actually being sabotaged from within, as one candidate seeks to make another look bad. This happened in a eThekwini municipality, when competition for the mayoral position pitted 2 ANC colleagues against each other. Suddenly, key portfolios started failing. Medical waste piled up at the city's 90 clinics. Contracts were unrenewed. Obstructing the work of the Metro Police took place, and development projects came to a standstill. Power still trumps the ANC. It trumps service delivery. It trumps honesty. It trumps your right to efficient governance, and the pursuit of power has allowed corruption to put down its roots very deep. These are the reasons the ANC is failing you. There is a lack of integrity and lack of moral leadership. How then can South Africa survive an economic crisis under the ANC in these circumstances? The first step is to make them more accountable to the people at the very coalface of service delivery. The way to do that is through the forthcoming local government elections. The electorate must empower voices of opposition to keep unfettered power in check. Multi-party democracy must be strengthened so that you will never be dictated to and will never have to accept less than you deserve. The question, comrades, is which opposition do you empower? In a climate of uprisings, the temptation exists to support radical firebrand parties who jump on every bandwagon, appropriate every popular cause, and are scrambling for sound bites in the media. But any fireman will tell you that fighting fire with fire makes no sense. South Africa is burning under poor leadership, and we're rightly angry, frustrated, and distressed. But we need to fight this fire with its opposite element. We must fight corrupted leadership with moral leadership. We must fight social injustice with principled action. The weapons of rhetoric and division merely pour fuel on the fire. The goal is to put the fire out and to restore what has been burned and begin building defenses against another crisis. That is the role of the IFP. Let us empower the party that knows how to build, that knows how to restore, and how to create peace. Let us empower the IFP. There's a future that has been written yet, has not been written yet. It will be written with the hands and voices of this generation. It will be written on the ballot papers of the local government elections. In that future, the principles of the IFP will be wielded by the people of goodwill, and corruption will fail. Weak leadership will fail. Empty promises will be rejected. And South Africa will rally behind individuals who have proven their worth not with words, but with their actions. That is the future the IFP believes in. It is one we are fighting for to achieve. I urge you, comrades, to join us as we continue the journey of the IFP. Let the voice of this party be heard in the midst of the battlefield. Our cry is the cry of unity. Our cry is the cry of solidarity. Our cry is the cry of freedom. As we celebrate the future of the IFP, I wish to quote a young poet whom I assume is present here today, Ms. Mangosuthu Buthelezi. She wrote recently, "You are a leader by default. You are a catalyst of change, starting from where you were born and bred. When you achieve, you do not achieve for yourself, but for everyone in contact with you. When you fail, it has always been affecting those around and behind you too. I believe a true leader serves others first, and in serving them, he is transformed into a leader, unbreakable, unshaken, unmoved by any circumstances, because he or she has simply built nations of leaders behind him," unquote. Comrades, in the years to come, the IFP will build our nation. It is what we were created to do. It is our destiny. So let us move forward in certain knowledge that we are walking in our destiny.
Well, that was the president of the IFP.